allow us to make the following recommendations. 1. Formally repeal Section 377A of the Penal Code criminalizing homosexual acts.
Brazil wishes to recommend that Singapore take the necessary measures to eliminate legislation and policies that criminalize in a direct or an indirect way same-sex relations and discriminate against LGBTI people.
We've offered the following recommendations to Singapore. To enact comprehensive legislation prohibiting discrimination in employment on the basis of sex, race, ethnicity, religion, age, sexual orientation, gender identity and expression, marital status or disability. Third, to remove discriminatory media guidelines in order to provide a more balanced representation of LGBTI persons.
We have the following recommendations to Singapore. Further, to eliminate provisions in national legislation that discriminate against women and other groups such as LGBTI persons, including revising the Section 377A of the Penal Code.
Finland encourages Singapore to repeal legal provisions criminalizing sexual activity between consenting adults and to revoke all censorship guidelines discriminating against LGBTI persons.
I would like to make the following recommendations to Singapore: that it abrogate Article 377A of the Criminal Code to decriminalise homosexuality. Thank you.
We would like to submit the following recommendations, and finally to consider decriminalizing same-sex relations.
We would encourage more concrete measures to protect the human rights of sexual minorities and specifically recommend the abolishment of Penal Code Section 377A.
Lastly, we appreciate the debate that has taken place in Singapore and the possibility of a derogation from Section 377A.
Sweden recommends the government of Singapore to revoke legal provisions criminalizing sexual activity between consenting adults.
We recommend first repealing laws that criminalize homosexuality.
However, we are concerned about respect of individual civil and political rights in Singapore, including those of LGBTI persons. While we welcome the increase in open debate during and surrounding the 2015 election, we remain troubled by restrictions on freedom of expression. We recommend that repeal the anti-sodomy law, which criminalizes the private consensual conduct of gay men.
We continue to be concerned at the criminalisation of homosexual relations. We encourage Singapore to pursue the debate with a view to removing Section 377A of the Penal Code.
Now, a few delegations, the Czech Republic, Norway, the United Kingdom, Netherlands, Switzerland, Sweden, the United States, Slovenia, and Austria, have raised the rights of LGBTI persons in their statements and advanced questions. In my opening remarks, I said, we treasure every Singaporean. LGBTI persons are part of our society, and we acknowledge their contributions like we do for all our citizens. Let me say that Singapore is basically a conservative society. We have to manage such issues sensitively and in a pragmatic way without fracturing our society. Even in developed countries with more liberal societies, LGBT rights remain a divisive issue. We inherited the law on sodomy, Section 377A of the Penal Code, from Britain through the Indian Penal Code and the Strait Settlements Penal Code during our colonial history. But our position today is not to proactively enforce Section 377A. On October 22, 2007, there was a long and intense debate in Parliament on repealing 377A. Parliament eventually decided to retain the status quo. Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong made the following points. 1. Singapore is a conservative society. 2. It is better to accept the legal untidiness and ambiguity of leaving 377A as it is and not proactively enforce it. And 3, it would not be wise to force the issue, to settle the matter one way or the other. In fact, LGBTI persons are free to lead their lives in Singapore. The civil service does not discriminate against LGBTI applicants. They hold an annual LGBTI rights rally called Pink Dot, which was attended by more than 28,000 people last year, as reported in our national media. They are free to write and stage plays about LGBTI issues, and there are bars that are frequented by LGBTI persons. Our approach is to live and let live, and to preserve the common space for all communities in Singapore. We firmly oppose discrimination and harassment, and we have laws to protect our citizens from such acts. Our view is that our society should evolve gradually. Our population has to decide collectively, rather than the government decides one way or the other.